Thank you. Could
No, that's
No, we are out of time.
but thank you, and we
Yeah.
love you, and namaste.
Uh-huh.
It's a wonderful thing when we begin to recognize that we do have co-creative power,
Whew, yeah.
and that moment of recognition is an empowerment moment, because so often we get in the habit of being a victim to our circumstances that we forget there's another attitude.
Indeed. And Robbie, I have an email here that came in, and I want to read this and get your feelings for this woman as well. Are you open to that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So this beautiful woman has written us, and I'm just going to summarize it because she really took a lot of time to send us this email today. But let me just read it. She's actually writing about her mom. Her mother's name is Verna, and she says that Verna is dealing with a terrible physical autoimmune illness and firmly believes she's being attacked by an entity that causes her daily severe pain, and she hears the voice. And then she goes on, I'm paraphrasing, she goes on to talk about how her mom's a very metaphysical, self-ascended woman. 2 weeks ago, she had a fall, no broken bones, but her knee has been hurting. She refuses to go to the doctor, saying that it's the entity causing the knee pain and that also caused her to fall. She also says that she's being choked when she eats. Her fingers are crippled when she tries to play the piano. And so she says, for my dad who lives with her and myself, we've arrived to a point where this needs to be addressed for what's truly going on here. And they've talked about that. And she's asking, is there an outside entity? Is there unhealed trauma? That this woman did have a few major traumas in her 20s and 30s. She's now, let me see here, 75 years old. And so without reading, there's a lot more about another disease that came in about 6 years ago. And so there's a lot more going on here about how there's times she's dehydrated, other symptoms. So I guess my question is, and her question to us is, and I'm going to pass this one to you first. She says, please let me know how you would go about helping her. The better you explain it to me, the more clearly I can pass this on to her. And so hearing this, and I really did paraphrase this, but I already know that you know where to go with this, Robbie. So let me turn this over to you.
Okay. Wow, there's so much there I would love to address. And we have so little time. I think the very first thing and the most important thing I would say and I appreciate that we have loved ones we want to help, is accepting. And isn't that interesting? That's the one step we haven't talked about yet. That's the third step, is acceptance. Accepting Verna's journey, her mother's journey. It may not be the choices sometimes. It may not be what you want them to go through, but it's Verna's journey, and you have to accept her choices, her pace. Whatever she chooses is exactly right for her. So that's important. And where a lot of us get into trouble is not wanting our loved ones to go through pain, to go through some of these things that is necessary for their soul's journey. So
that is so true.
Well, and then we're at war with God, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really important. What I'm also getting, and you can obviously chime in if you feel differently, but what I'm getting from my guides is that this entity is not necessarily a dark entity, that it's a way of getting her attention, but I'm a big fan of using my guides. I have this, as you know, we have teams of ancestors and higher self and loved ones and ascended masters and angels and spirit guides and totem animals. I mean, it's endless. They're waiting to assist us, but because it's a free will planet, they cannot just step in. We need to ask for their help. So I would take this back to Jerry as well. Ask for their help. Ask them to help you become aware of what's holding you back, to help you bring more joy into your life, to help you heal this. And I would also say this for Verna, that, if you feel you need protection, ask Archangel Michael to protect. But I'm getting that this entity, that this being, is actually there to assist her. So and anything always is love. Always love. That's the answer. So you don't approach anything with fear. You approach it with love. Love overcomes everything. So
Indeed, it does.
Absolutely, yeah. So I would approach all of this with love and find out, autoimmune system is, because you dealt with lupus, it's a lot of fear throughout the entire body. It's a lot of stuff that's just been blocked and held in, and so you need to release it. So again, this is Verna's choice, how she chooses to deal with it. Yes, you can support her and give her some advice when she asks for it, when she looks for it, when she wants it from you. It's really been, I had some family members that had life-threatening illnesses, and I knew my support role was to be there unconditionally loving them and supporting them in their choices.
And let me ask you this. When you were there in that role, you were in a sincere space, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the point, and this is what I want to just also share to our beloved one, Kimian. Kimian, as you're listening to everything that Robbie's sharing, and I know you're listening, Angel, I want to share this with you as well. Remember this one basic premise: frustration repels and sincerity attracts. And in your email, I see the extreme amount of frustration you're going through, the frustration your mom, Verna, is going through, the frustration your father is going through. And so the three of you together, because you're frustrated, are actually repelling the energy of healing. The sincerity to help her is coming from a frustration place versus coming from a place of, as Robbie just said so beautifully, acceptance. It's time to accept that Verna's experience will bring her where she needs to go. And the best thing you can do right now is offer her your sincere support in her journey versus the frustration of trying to shift it.
And I love that piece, Robbie, that you shared. Why not have a deeper communion with this entity?
Exactly.
Why not either, if she's able to telepathically communicate, to sit down and say, help me, let's collaborate. Or if that isn't there, then to do some journaling around it, to turn this into a healing group rather than a hurtful experience.
Exactly. And, I love this because this is it's really at the core of it. But Robbie, it brings me to one thing. Now, tell me if I'm right. I've been tracking with you, and here's what I've got written down so far, and you correct me if I'm wrong. You've got these 5 steps published in your book that I'm sure everybody's going to need to get. So step number 1, willingness. Step number 2, awareness. Step number 3, acceptance. Step number 5, focus. So are we just missing 4? Is that where we're at?
4 was empowerment.
Empowerment. All right.
Right. Just because.
Did I get them right? Are we in the right order?
You did. You get a gold star. Yes.
Right.
She's a good student.
I went to Catholic school.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now I'm going to look at that penmanship next.
Exactly. Don't you dare.
No, we don't go there. We just don't go there.
Yeah. No, we don't. Trust me.
And isn't that something we've learned? That we've learned to stop that judgment and that criticism, because that is such a big part of this. It really is very simple, and that's what the Aborigines would say: is we just complicate everything. It's very simple. It's love-based stuff. When you're hanging out in this fear-based stuff, and really control issues, it's fear. That's why you want to control and fix other people's lives. And that comes up in the book about not being a rescuer or a victim, but to be a master and allow other people to live their life without you having to fix it or them fixing you. That's empowerment, again, taking your power back. So there's just so many things that we could talk about, but it comes back to that love. It really is, if you're in love-based emotions, like you said, the sincerity, the forgiveness, the gratitude, joy, that is creating a healthy, vibrant cell and body, and the energy is flowing and the chakras are moving. Whereas if you're in these fear-based emotions like envy, some of the heavy-duty ones are self-hatred and guilt, anger, resentment, that's going to create a different cell that just energy doesn't flow. It's just sticky and mucky, and that's when disease can take place. So
absolutely,
it's very simple. Yeah. Paying attention to, are you marinating in a lot of thoughts and emotions that are love-based or fear-based? And I know that there's a lot of love that Kimian has for Verna, and I know that's coming from her father as well. But if you're sending out a lot of emotions that are kind of fear-based, that's not helping anybody, because you guys know whatever energy you're in, it's emanating off you. And
well, it is. It is. And I want to take this to another person that sent us an email, and I love this. This one came in from Lorraine, and it's a different take on what we're talking about here, Robbie, but I know you're going to flow with this one beautifully because it's very much about healing in our spiritual realm, I think, Shri. So let me read this. This is fabulous. This came in from Lorraine, and she said, hi, Shri and Kira. Over the past few weeks, I've had 2 similar encounters with religious people that I didn't know how to handle. And in her particular case, she said she's always been actually repelled by formal religion, and it's never felt good to her. She says, so the first conversation was about Jesus being our savior, and you can't get into heaven unless you invite him into your heart. And the second one was a man who believed there's a spiritual war going on between God and Satan, and told me how Satan was a dragon before he was a snake, that the Bible is the ultimate literal truth, and all this other nonsense about how the world will unfold, and it seemed distorted. Now, here's what she says. As I listen to these people, I have memories of the Jehovah Witnesses knocking on the front door, wishing I wasn't part of this conversation because it makes me feel uncomfortable, as if someone is pushing their lies into my psyche, trying to infuse doubt that I need to believe what they believe or I'm not going to be saved. They're all very firm in their beliefs, and I'm not trying to judge them. But here's what she says. What is the right thing to say to get someone off your back? I'm not looking to convert anyone or push my wisdom onto them. Should I even say anything? Am I obligated as I awaken to help these people or say something that may spark doubt within them that their beliefs are wrong? And then she has a lot more here. And she says, I wasn't stirred by the fear and worry that this man was feeling about the events taking place in the world because I've always been very polite and they were unable to infuse any doubt in me. But maybe I'm too polite. And anyway, so I'm just, what's your, because there's a healing moment here. I think there's a really powerful healing moment.
Everything that comes into your life is an opportunity. It's every single thing that comes into your life is an opportunity. It comes back to, again, there's so many things we could address. The rescuer, no, it's not up to you to rescue them. There's nothing wrong. Everybody has different things come to them that's exactly what they need for their spiritual journey. And so that's why some of these religions play a part in everybody's lives. It may not work for you, but it may be exactly what they need. So there's it comes back to that acceptance again. And now set boundaries if you need to, but always operate out of love. Always come from your heart and that compassion.
Agreed.
You can find a kind thing to say, or, you always come from the heart. That's the key. But, I had to say that when I had a hard time with smokers, I lost some family members because they were smokers, and I had a really hard time accepting smoking. And I found that my life, Spirit just made sure that I was surrounded by smokers until I learned to accept that that was simply their choice. Nothing wrong with it. That was what they needed to experience in this particular moment of their lives. When I started accepting smokers, I noticed, in not having a problem with it, I noticed that they went away.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, because there was, again, sincerity versus frustration.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to jump in here, Lorraine, one of the things you asked for were some specific words. And I want to offer you this because what Robbie's saying is exactly what you want to offer, which is that love. And whenever Sri and I encounter people that come up to us and want to, tell us either why we're wrong or what we need to be doing or why their beliefs are correct or why anything else, one of the things that we do is we bring our hands to our heart. I look them straight in the eye and I thank them. I say, here's the exact words we use, Lorraine. I say, thank you for loving me enough to share with me. And I need you to hear that I love myself enough to feel good about what I'm doing as well. And then don't engage the conversation anymore.
Yeah, it's a topic I choose not to engage with you at this time.
But thank you for loving me enough to share and respect that I love myself enough to move forward. And so, Robbie, I agree. I mean, it's all about bringing it back to love space. And I love your smoking. I'm also an ex-smoker. And but I love that parent what you're saying because it's the truth. When we bring our sincere heart, when we open up our doorway, the universe clears the path. It always gets cleared. But when we're frustrated or feeling frustrated or angry, all we're doing is repelling what we really want.
Well, and there's more than one strategy to solve any situation. And when we allow ourselves to center in our heart, to be at peace with what's going on, there's multiple strategies, and healthy ones at that. When we're in a place of repulsion or frustration or impatience, what we're really saying is, I'm trying to control. And so, once again, we appreciate that reminder that love is the healer and love expresses through us in multiple ways.
Exactly. And Robbie, what's amazing is when we're having a good time and we're in a love space, time flies as time is flying on our show now. So I want to invite you, if you had a minute or two to offer some words for our guests and to make sure that you include your book title and your website again, what would you want people to remember today? If they had one nugget to remember from you, what would that be?
I think, wow, there's so many things. I guess the biggest thing is what we've talked about. Love is the answer. And to just pay attention to what the mind is feeding you and not buying into it. Just observe it, but don't buy into it. And pay attention to when it's feeding you love-based thoughts and emotions and when it's feeding you fear-based. And choose the love-based.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully said. And so for our listeners today, we've been delighted to be sharing with Robbie Holz. And you can find Secrets of Aboriginal Healing, a physicist's journey with a remote Australian tribe at multiple locations. Do a web search on that.
Yeah.
And pick up a copy and use it to help stimulate your own healthy awakening.
Yeah. Follow Robbie's 5 steps there: willingness, awareness, acceptance, empowerment, and focus. That's certainly a magic bullet. And Robbie, how can people, what's your website again? I believe it was Holz Wellness, wasn't it? HOLZWEELNESS. And make sure that you give yourself the gift of joining in with that. You know, Shri, I'm so excited about today's show as the first show in our series this month, because again, I want to share with everyone, August is a powerful month. August is heating up. If ever there was a time to take charge of your health, if ever there was a time to take charge of you, this is the month, because everything around you is conspiring. I love how Robbie and her husband both, including you and I think a lot of us on our spiritual journey, a lot of us on our healing journey have had to hit that rock bottom moment before you wake up.
Well, or we think we're at rock bottom.
Right.
And that's it's amazing. It's amazing how many bottoms there might be.
We're not going there.
Well, it can happen. And each and every one is a threshold moment.
It is. And we're
that's
here.
Really the magic.
Right. And August is here for the planet. We're going to be at that moment on so many levels. So, hey, remember, guys, join us live in our free teleworkshop and worldwide ceremony August 6th, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can get on this free. Just send your email to support@selfascension.com. Again, that's support@selfascension.com, and we will send you the free call-in details. A powerful workshop and ceremony, our gift to you and to the world as we are heating up in August.
Remember that you are the center of the cyclone. And I borrowed that term from a writer that I admire. When we live in the periphery, we get whipped by the wind. When we return to the center of our hearts, to the center of our being, we begin to see the truth of things. We begin to see that maybe those thoughts in our mind are not dictates. Maybe they're just passing clouds.
Indeed. And, if you haven't been to YouTube yet, go to Official Shri and Kira and watch 2 short videos, our August 2014 predictions and our August 2014 Archangelic Message for the World, both very timely, both very powerful.
And so, beloved listeners, our time today has come to a close, and we invite you to remember that with every deep breath, you are opening your hearts. And as you open your hearts, may you remember that all is truly well. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us at Shri and Kira Live. To have your questions answered, send us an email to guest@shriandkiraradio.com and check out more information at shriandkira.com. See you next week. Namaste.